Hey there, water warriors and hydrogen heroes. This is Shayne McCarthy, the H2 water expert, and you are tuning into H2 hydration and health. This episode is on the hidden dangers of the golf course. But before we dive deep into today's topic, I have to throw out some dad jokes. Why did the golfer bring an extra pair of pants? In case he got a hole in one. Why did the golfer carry a spare umbrella? In case of a forecast. Forecast? All right. Before you guys all unsubscribe to me, on that note, if you don't yet subscribe to me on YouTube and Spotify, or wherever you're listening to this, so you can keep up to date with all things H2 hydration and health. So, hidden dangers from the golf course. Now, I want to share some breaking news that has me genuinely concerned, and that comes from the Journal of the Journal of the American Medical Association, sorry, JAMA, found that living within 1 mile of a golf course increased the risk of Parkinson's disease by 126%. That is more than double the risk compared to those living 6 miles away. This is not something we can ignore. Now, today we are talking about something that affects millions of people without them even realizing it, and that is glyphosate, the active ingredient in many of today's popular weed killers. And I think you're putting the pieces of the puzzle together now, but it is showing up in our water, our food, and potentially affecting our brain and gut health. This is especially concerning for those living near golf courses, as the recent research highlights. I will break down what glyphosate is, how it might be affecting your health, and most importantly, what practical steps you can take to protect yourself and your family. From water filtration to hydrogen therapy, we'll cover it all in today's episode, so buckle up. Let us start by understanding this golf course study that has many health experts concerned. Researchers from the Barrow Neurological Institute and Mayo Clinic conducted a population-based case control study across southern Minnesota and western Wisconsin. They looked at 419 people with Parkinson's disease and compared them with over 5,000 matched controls. What they found was striking. People living within 1 mile of a golf course had 126% increased odds of developing Parkinson's compared to those living more than 6 miles away. The risk remained significantly higher within 3 miles of a golf course, gradually decreasing with distance. But here's what really caught my attention. Those who received their tap water from groundwater service areas that included a golf course had nearly double the odds of developing Parkinson's compared to similar areas without golf course. And this tells us that the water contamination is likely a major factor. And while we're on it, I mean, pesticides, herbicides, glyphosate is one of many things that very often gets overlooked when it comes to filtration. I will do another episode about pharmaceuticals in your water source, and why that's of importance. Dr. Brittany Kurzanowski, the lead researcher, explained that areas with vulnerable groundwater, those with shallow bedrock or coarse soil, showed even higher risk levels. But according to the research, pesticides applied to the grass or crops can readily move into the groundwater supply after rain, especially in areas with certain geological features. Now, I live in British Columbia. We have a lot of rain here. We also have a lot of golf courses here. So I, for one, I am very happy that I properly filter my water. Now, the researchers have believed that pesticides used on golf courses, particularly glyphosate, may be the culprit. This makes sense when we understand how extensively these chemicals are used on golf courses. For those unfamiliar with glyphosate, it is the most widely used herbicide in the world. You probably know it by the brand named Roundup. It was introduced in the 70s and it has increased approximately 100-fold since then, according to research published in the Journal of Environmental Health. Originally, glyphosate was considered relatively safe for humans because it targets an enzyme pathway called EPSPS that exists in plants and bacteria, but not in human cells. However, this reasoning overlooks something critical. While we do not have this pathway on our cells, the bacteria in our gut microbiome do. And golf courses use glyphosate and other pesticides at rates that can be up to 15 times higher than the limits in many European countries. These chemicals can persist in soil and water for months or even years, depending on the conditions. When it rains, these chemicals can seep into groundwater, especially in areas with permeable soil, or what geologists call karst topography. This type of landscape has limestone bedrock that dissolves over time, creating underground pathways for surface water and, unfortunately, any contaminants it carries. So what happens when glyphosate gets into our drinking water? This is where things get concerning for our health. Glyphosate particles typically range from 0.1 to 0.7 microns in size. This makes it extremely difficult to filter out with your standard water filters. Just to put this into perspective, a human hair is roughly 70 microns thick, so we're talking about particles 100 times smaller than a human hair getting into our water supply and potentially causing serious health problems. Now, 100 times smaller than human hair, that's going to be invisible to the naked eye, and just because your water is clear does not mean it's pure. Now, let us talk about glyphosate affects our health, particularly focusing on the gut microbiome connection to Parkinson's disease. This is a fascinating area of research that helps explain the golf course study findings. Our gut contains trillions of bacteria that play crucial roles in our health, from digestion to immune function and even brain health. This community of microorganisms is called our gut microbiome, and it is incredibly important for overall well-being. A study published in the journal Life found that more than half of the bacteria in our gut microbiome are potentially sensitive to glyphosate. When these beneficial bacteria are disrupted, it can lead to a condition called dysbiosis, an imbalance between beneficial and harmful microbes. According to this research, the bacteria most sensitive to glyphosate include Bifidobacterium and Lactobacillus species, which are considered some of the most beneficial bacteria for our health. Meanwhile, potentially harmful bacteria like Clostridium species tend to be more resistant to glyphosate. This shift in the microbiome balance is particularly concerning because the gut and brain are connected through what scientists call the gut-brain axis. Our gut actually contains its own neural network, sometimes called the second brain, that communicates directly with our central nervous system. When the gut microbiome is disrupted, it can lead to increased inflammation and oxidative stress. This is where hydrogen comes into play, but we'll get to that, which are known contributors to neurodegenerative conditions like Parkinson's disease. The gut also produces neurotransmitters that affect brain function, including dopamine, which is deficient in Parkinson's patients. Furthermore, research published in the Journal of Neuroinflammation has shown that glyphosate can reduce the production of important amino acids like tryptophan by gut bacteria. Tryptophan is a precursor to serotonin, which plays a role in mood regulation and is also converted to melatonin, important for sleep. Recent studies suggest that the impact of glyphosate on gut health may be one of the mechanisms by which it contributes to neurological conditions like Parkinson's. This gut-brain connection explains why environmental exposures can have such profound effects on brain health. Now that we understand the problem, let us talk about solutions. What can you do to protect yourself and your family from glyphosate exposure, especially in your drinking water? Well, the first step is to understand what kind of filtration is needed to remove glyphosate. As I mentioned earlier, glyphosate particles range from 0.1 to 0.7 microns in size. Most standard water filters simply cannot catch particles this small. A typical carbon filter, like the kind you might have in a pitcher filter, may remove some glyphosate, but is not specifically rated to eliminate it completely. In fact, many common household filters are rated between 1 to 100 microns, which is not fine enough to reliably capture glyphosate. According to water filtration experts, to effectively remove glyphosate, you need filtration systems specifically designed to handle these chemicals. There are 3 systems I recommend based on scientific literature and technical specifications. Ultra Home filtration from Ultra Water Solutions, AlkaViva filtration, also from Ultra Water Solutions, and the Hydro machine or the Porsche RO machine from Tech4Health. First, let us talk about Ultra Home whole house filtration. This system uses ultra water technology, which is highly effective against hundreds of water contaminants, including pesticides and herbicides like glyphosate. What makes Ultra Home stand out is its multiple stage filtration process that can remove particles much smaller than most standard filters. Their systems are tested against 229 contaminants, including glyphosate, and have been proven to remove them. It has a huge advantage of treating the entire water in your home, not just your drinking water. So this means you are protected when showering, bathing, or washing your food, not just drinking the water when using it for cooking and coffee and tea as well, which is very important since glyphosate can be absorbed through the skin as well as just through from eating it. The catalytic carbon in the Ultra Home systems is something that really sets it apart from your typical granular activated carbon. Next up would be a point of contact system like an AlkaViva hydrogen ionizer. Their filtration is one of the main reasons why I am such a big supporter of them. They use a combination of filtration methods, including active or advanced carbon filtration and their proprietary ultra water technology, which has been tested against 249 contaminants, including glyphosate. What makes AlkaViva systems good on top of the filtration is it not only filters out the contaminants, but provides a beneficial alkaline hydrogen-rich water for drinking, cooking, ingesting, even cleaning, as well as acidic waters that can be used for skincare, and also cleaning and a number of other different uses. This gives you dual benefits, removing harmful chemicals while also supporting your health with antioxidant properties. Now, the third option I recommend are the RO systems from Tech4Health. There is the Porsche standalone RO system that will just filter your water in an absolutely incredible way in comparison to traditional reverse osmosis systems. It is tankless and it can produce up to 800 gallons per day and will remove up to 1/10,000th of a micron, which is 0.0001 microns, so 5 to 7 million times smaller than a human hair strand. There is also the Hydro from Tech4Health that adds in the ability to create super saturated hydrogen water at a liter per minute right at your fingertips. Absolutely incredible stuff and can really, really help you redo and make up for the mistakes that we've been making by ingesting glyphosate in the way that we do. Now, you might be wondering which of these systems is right for you. And it really depends on your specific needs and water quality. If you live near a golf course or agricultural area with heavy pesticide use, I would strongly recommend a whole house system like Ultra Home. If you're worried about just the drinking water and the quality, then you can look at AlkaViva or the Tech4Health systems. All of them excellent choices to make sure that you have the proper filtration. We also, with Tech4Health, will have a shower filter. So if the whole home system doesn't really work for you, you can do a shower filter system mixed with a drinking water system. Some people even do the whole home system mixed with the drinking water system because of the benefits that you get with the hydrogen water. This is where it's important to have a conversation with an expert like myself, that wants to help you get the right products that are going to help you and your entire family's health and achieve what you're looking for. One thing that is very important to understand about water filtration is that different contaminants require different filtration methods. For glyphosate specifically, granular activated carbon or carbon block filters combined with reverse osmosis provide the most effective removal according to water quality researchers. I can tell you very confidently that with all methods of filtration that I've mentioned, you will be able to remove the glyphosate. Another consideration is the condition of your source water. Municipal water systems often use chlorine or chloramine as disinfectants, which can also interact with our organic matter to form potentially harmful byproducts like trihalomethanes and haloacidic acids. A comprehensive filtration should address these concerns as well, which, as mentioned, all of the options that I have talked about will take care of that. Now, I want to talk about something that goes beyond filtration. I mentioned it before. I mention it all the time, and I think you know what I'm going to mention is something that can help address the potential damage even after the exposure, and that is hydrogen therapy. Molecular hydrogen, or H2, is emerging as one of the most promising therapeutic agents for various health conditions, including those related to oxidative stress and inflammation, which I mentioned earlier, which is a big component to the Parkinson's, and a big cause and creator of that is the glyphosate. So this is relevant in our discussion because both oxidative stress and inflammations are key mechanisms by which glyphosate may contribute to health problems like Parkinson's disease and many others. Hydrogen is the smallest molecule in the universe, which allows it to penetrate or permeate the cell membranes very easily, cross the blood-brain barrier, and reach parts of cells that other antioxidants simply can't. This makes it uniquely effective for addressing oxidative damage in the brain and nervous system. A fascinating study published in PLOS found that drinking hydrogen-rich water significantly reduced the loss of dopaminergic neurons in a Parkinson's disease model. The researchers found that even hydrogen concentrations as low as 0.8 parts per million had protective effects. Another pilot study published in Movement Disorders involved Parkinson's patients who drank hydrogen-rich water for 48 weeks. The results showed that those in the hydrogen water group had improved total unified Parkinson's disease rating scale scores, while the placebo group actually worsened. Hydrogen works through several mechanisms that have been documented in scientific literature. First, it selectively neutralizes the most harmful free radicals, particularly the hydroxyl radical, which is one of the most damaging to our cells. Unlike other antioxidants, hydrogen does not interfere with beneficial reactive species that our cells need for signaling. What I mean by that is they're like bacteria in your body. There is good bacteria. There are good free radicals. Hydrogen only scavenges for the most cell damaging free radical. Secondly, hydrogen has been shown to reduce inflammation by decreasing pro-inflammatory cytokines and increasing anti-inflammatory pathways like the NRF2 pathway. This is important because neuroinflammation is a key factor in the development and progression of Parkinson's disease. Thirdly, research published in the journal Frontiers in Neuroscience indicates that hydrogen appears to support mitochondrial function, which is critical for brain health. Mitochondria are the powerhouse of our cells, and their dysfunction is linked to many neurodegenerative conditions. There are several ways to use hydrogen therapy according to the scientific literature. The most accessible is undoubtedly drinking the hydrogen-rich water, which that can be created using hydrogen tablets, hydrogen water generators, like the Alcaviva machine or the Hydro, or specialized filtration systems like the ones I mentioned, like the Hydro. Another method is hydrogen inhalation, which allows for higher concentrations of hydrogen to be delivered to the body. This approach has shown particularly promising results in some studies, even Parkinson's studies, though it requires specialized equipment like the Tech Pro 900 from Tech for Health. It is important to note that hydrogen therapy is an emerging field of research. While the results so far are promising, especially for conditions related to oxidative stress and inflammation, we still need larger clinical trials to fully understand its potential benefits and limitations. The good news is there are lots of studies that are coming out, and the safety profile of hydrogen therapy is excellent. No serious adverse effects have been reported in any of the clinical studies conducted so far. This makes it potentially valuable, makes it a potentially valuable complementary approach to conventional treatments. One of the most interesting aspects of hydrogen therapy research is its potential to address multiple pathways involved in neurodegeneration simultaneously. Rather than targeting a single mechanism or symptom, hydrogen appears to have broad spectrum effects that support overall cellular health. For example, a 2021 study published in Neural Regeneration Research found that hydrogen therapy not only reduced oxidative stress, but also promoted autophagy, the cellular cleaning process that removes damaged components and helps maintain cellular health. Now, hydrogen therapy is not a replacement for proper filtration to remove glyphosate from your water. Rather, it is a complementary approach that may help address some of the damage that could occur from the exposure. And the best strategy is to both minimize exposure through proper filtration and support your body's resilience through evidence-based approaches like hydrogen therapy. Let's talk about some of the critical or practical aspects of water filtration. When considering a filtration system, you need to think about not just its effectiveness, but also maintenance requirements and lifespan. So for whole home systems like your Ultra Home, the filtration media typically lasts several years, up to 10 years in some of the systems. And that depends on your water usage, of course, and quality. These systems usually have a pre-filter that need to be changed more frequently, typically every few months. And again, that really depends on your the source water. Some places it can be every 3 to 4 months. Some places can be once a year. Countertop systems like some of the Alcaviva models have filter cartridges that need to be replaced every 6 to 12 months, again, depending on usage. The hydrogen generating components in those systems, though can last for years. In fact, there is a lifetime warranty on the parts, and the filtration change will really depend on how much you're using the machines for all of their other benefits in the multiple different levels of pHs. And it's also worth noting that water quality can significantly change depending on your location and source. It will, if you are in municipal water, you can request a water quality report from your utility company. This report, sometimes called a consumer confidence report, will tell you what contaminants have been detected in your water supply. If you have a private well, I strongly recommend getting your water tested by a certified lab. This is especially important if you live near golf courses, of course, agricultural areas, or industrial facilities where glyphosate and other contaminants may be more prevalent. Testing can help you determine exactly what you're dealing with and what kind of filtration system would be most appropriate for your specific situation. These are specialized tests available for glyphosate and other pesticides that may not be included in standard water quality panels. So let's put all this information together into a practical protection plan. Here are the steps that I recommend if you are concerned about glyphosate exposure, especially if you live near a golf course or agricultural area. First, test your water. Before investing in any filtration system, it is important to know what you are dealing with. These are specialized tests for glyphosate and other pesticides that can tell you if these chemicals are present in your water and at what levels. Second, you got to install appropriate filtration. First and foremost, Based on your test results and living situation, choose a filtration system that can effectively remove glyphosate and everything else that you're concerned about. Remember, you need filtration rated for particles less than 0.7 microns to be effective against glyphosate. You're probably looking for less than 0.1. For most people concerned about glyphosate, I do recommend either the Ultra Home whole house system if you want comprehensive protection of the whole home, or either the Alcaviva or one of the Tech for Health systems if you want to focus primarily on drinking water quality and also the benefits of the hydrogen water. Or you can combine the two. Again, have a conversation, make sure that you get set up with the right system for yourself and your family. Do consider hydrogen therapy as an additional protective measure based on the scientific literature, whether through hydrogen-rich water, inhalation. This therapy may help counteract some of the oxidative stress and inflammation associated with glyphosate exposure. Fourth, be mindful of other exposure sources. While water is a major concern, glyphosate can also be present in your food, and it very much is, particularly non-organic grains and legumes. Consider choosing organic options for foods known to have higher residues of glyphosate. Fifth, support your gut health. This is important and it's not new. The reasoning may be, but since glyphosate can disrupt the gut microbiome, it is important to support beneficial bacteria through a diet rich in fiber, fermented foods, and possibly probiotic supplements, but do your research on which probiotic supplement will make the most sense for you. This can all help maintain a healthy balance in your gut microbiome, even if some exposure does occur. The connection between gut health and brain health is becoming increasingly clear. By supporting your gut health, you are supporting your brain health, which is particularly important in the context of neurodegenerative conditions like Parkinson's disease. Sixth, stay informed. Research on glyphosate. Look this stuff up. Don't believe anything I say. Research everything I say. Research its health effects, and new information may emerge that could inform better protection strategies. So continue to do your research. Keep up with the latest studies and recommendations from your trusted sources. Now, I do want to address some questions I frequently get about water filtration and glyphosate. One common question is whether bottled water is a good alternative to tap water, and the answer is complicated. Bottled water is not necessarily free of glyphosate or other contaminants. In fact, testing by various organizations has found glyphosate in some bottled water brands. Additionally, bottled water creates plastic waste and can be expensive in the long run. A good quality filtration system is generally a better investment than relying on bottled water, but it then again provides, because it provides consistent protection, reduces waste, and is more effective over time, cost effective over time. Another question I get is about shower filters. Since glyphosate can be absorbed through the skin, people often wonder if they need to filter their shower water. This is a very valid concern, especially if you live in an area with known glyphosate contamination. Not all shower filters are the same. Highly recommend you do look at the shower filter from Tech for Health. Also, look at potentially doing a whole home filtration system like the Ultra Home. It is one of the best investments that you can make due to the extended use that you'll get out of it. A third common question is about the cost of these filtration systems. I mean, there's no denying that high quality filtration systems can represent a pretty significant upfront cost. But however, when you consider the long-term cost of bottled water or potential health costs associated with contaminant exposure, the value proposition becomes a lot clearer. Many companies also offer financing options. I know that Ultra Water Solutions, Alcaviva, and Tech for Health all offer financing solutions to make it a little bit easier and more accessible for you. Protecting your health and the health of your family is one of the most important investments you can make. I will remind you that healthy people want cars and vacations and homes. They want a whole bunch of different things. Unhealthy people want one thing: their health. Now, let's wrap up this episode because it's a long one, but it's a really valuable one. I'm going to give you a few key takeaways if you're still listening to this. First, the recent study linking proximity to golf courses with increased Parkinson's risk is concerning and suggests that pesticides like glyphosate may be a significant environmental risk factor for neurodegenerative conditions. Second, glyphosate works by targeting an enzyme pathway found in plants and bacteria, including beneficial bacteria in our gut microbiome. The disruption of our gut microbiome may be one mechanism by which glyphosate affects our health, particularly brain health, through the gut-brain axis. Third, the effective filtration is essential for removing glyphosate from drinking water. Standard filters may not be sufficient due to the small particle size of glyphosate, which ranges between 0.1 and 0.7 microns. Specialized systems like the Ultrahome, Alcaviva, or RO systems from Tech4Health often offer more protective filtration systems. Hydrogen therapy shows promise as a complementary approach to address oxidative stress and inflammation associated with glyphosate exposure. Both hydrogen-rich water and hydrogen inhalation have shown benefits in studies related to Parkinson's disease and other neurological conditions. A comprehensive protection strategy includes water testing, appropriate filtration, consideration of hydrogen therapy based on scientific research, mindful food choices, gut health support, and staying informed about the latest research. Finally, while the information about glyphosate and its potential health effects can be concerning, it is important to remember that there are practical steps you can take to reduce your exposure and protect your health. Knowledge is power, and being proactive about water quality is one of the most important things you can do for your long-term well-being. I hope today's episode has given you valuable information to protect yourself and your family from the potential risks of glyphosate exposure. Remember, being proactive about your water quality and overall health is one of the most important investments you can make. If you found this episode helpful, please share it with your friends and family who might benefit, especially those living near golf courses or agricultural areas. Awareness is the first step toward protection. Next week, we will be diving deeper into hydrogen therapy and brain health, and exploring the latest research and practical applications. Until then, it is Shayne McCarthy, the H2 water expert, reminding you that if you don't filter your water, you become the filter for your water. Have a great day, guys, and I look forward to next week's episode.